You are simply 5 steps away from new clients, new customers, and a greater growth in your business. I am Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. I'm going to share with you the 5 steps that are necessary to transform an idea into customers. Now, as a copywriter, marketer, or business development professional, you can use these 5 steps to help your customers set up for success in their new marketing campaigns, and their new customer acquisition campaigns, and their new market growth. Now, these 5 steps are very important because they set up a successful campaign and then allow you to understand and have enough knowledge about such campaign so that you can continue the campaign on and on. And I encourage you to try these 5 steps in your own marketing or consulting business so that you can be familiar with it and then frame your copywriting services around these 5 steps. What are these 5 steps? These 5 steps start with number 1, researching your buyer. I'm going to go through the 5 steps, by the way, and then I'll tell you why they're so important right afterwards. Number 2, test assumptions. Number 3, lead generation. Number 4, sales offer. And number 5, performance measures. Now, this is built on prospect, present, close, which is a very basic sales methodology. Comes from Brian Tracy, probably goes even further back. And you can make it 50 steps if you want, but these 5 steps tend to be the core. These 5 steps, repeated over and over again with intention and detail, create results because, number 1, researching the buyer isn't about finding an audience. It's about finding buyers for what it is that you have to offer. See, as a copywriter, you don't want to be marketing people who do brand-based copywriting. The company's always writing about themselves. They're never writing about the customer. You want to find people who already do direct response marketing, who do face-to-face sales, who do a lot of the copy creation activities that were based into 2-step marketing, some kind of lead generation, some kind of special report. These people already buy what it is that you have to offer, and you don't need to convince them that copywriting is valuable. You just need to introduce them to you as a valuable copywriter. Number 2, we want to test assumptions. Now, the testing of assumptions is really about getting to permission as quickly as possible. See, once you've identified the buyers and you've done the audience profile and different things, you'll know of what mailing lists that you can literally buy permission to contact prospects. Now, here's what's important. In the test assumption stage, you're going to learn something about these buyers, and you want to test that assumption in a prospect survey and meta research specific that gets the names of people. So you go to LinkedIn and you look for people with certain titles that you know buy what you offer, and you start building a list. So we're testing assumptions by compiling a list, but also starting those interactions that get you permission to follow up. Too many marketers go online to Facebook or social media and basically are content whores where you simply just, hey everybody, look what I'm doing. You're standing on a corner going, hey everybody, I do copywriting. Look at my copy. That's not going to get you clients, okay? You need to go out there and buy a list of newsletter publishers who use direct response copywriting. See, because number 1, you went out and got a copy of their newsletters, you got a copy of their marketing pieces, you researched them, and then number 2 is you subscribe to their newsletters to see what they're doing, and number 2 is also you send some query letters out. See, you're testing assumptions. You don't need permission to send somebody something by the postal mail. And by the way, this is like a list of 100 people. You can do a dream series, or it's called a Dream 100 Club, and you could send a letter every month to 100 top people who hire what it is that you do. Now, again, we're going to translate this for our clients as well, and they can reach out to buyers of whatever it is that they sell. Number 3, lead generation. So while you're testing assumptions, you're really just looking for clicks. You're looking for page views, but you are retargeting folks for retargeting. You just want them to show up on a page. And it's topic testing that we talked about before, but lead generation is a little bit different. Now we know who these people are who've clicked, or who these people are who are on a list that we've confirmed is full of buyers. Now we buy ad space to do lead generation. Now, the most important thing about lead generation is before you start lead generating, you want to finish your sales letter. You want to have a complete offer. Okay. You might not have a finished sales letter that you're ready to put people in front of, but you want to have a complete offer because when you generate a lead, they got to do something. Raise your hand for more information, and then it's 6 weeks before you got the more information because you hadn't finished it. You need to finish it first, at least in an outline, because you can take an outline and do a webinar or a podcast. In fact, here's a little secret. A lot of these podcasts, I'll send out a lead generation postcard and drive somebody directly to the podcast. I know who clicked through, and I know how long they listened. My follow-up is with those who click through, who listen to the whole podcast, or 80% of the podcast. Does that sound useful? Okay, so your lead generation is that. You're getting them into a discovery call. So maybe you have an outline of your offer, and you send a lead generation piece, and now they're going to join a webinar, and then from the webinar, they're going to join a discovery call where you talk one-on-one about their unique challenges and their specific situation, and you help derive some plan of action. Okay, it may not even be a sales call. It could just be going back to the test assumptions so that you can get an understanding of their language and understanding of what their pressures are and their needs. But you'll get to a point where you get about 100 leads, 200 leads, and you can start making sales offers. Now, I like to take this first 100, 200 leads, put them in a prospect newsletter, and then in the prospect newsletter, get them to raise their hand again for a specific meeting where we then do a platform presentation because it's on video or it's spoken, and you really can just work from an outline. But we also always want to get finished some kind of special report or sales letter so that we can follow up with some tangible resource to make the sale. Now, a lot of you folks out there set an appointment, and you do the discovery call, and then you do a report of findings, and then you schedule an appointment to close the sale. It just really depends on your sales cycle there, but you're going to have on step 4 some kind of sales funnel. Now, you've done a lot of work so far. And for some people in an existing company, this could be 3 weeks worth of work. And for startups, it could be 3 months worth of work. But how do we know it works? Well, number 5 is performance measures. So all the time that you're doing this work, you're making sure your ad targeting is working. You're making sure your analytics software is working. You're making sure that you're tracking the number of responses that come in by different mediums like fax and phone and other stuff. You're making sure that your analytics program is working so that you can know the cost per lead, cost per sale, profit per sale, customer lifetime value. Now, you might want monthly recurring revenue in some cases. It depends on the type of company you have. Now, I know I'm blasting through this really quick, but really it's 5 steps. And within each of those 5 steps, a copywriter, a marketer, a business development professional could to deliver huge value. If you're a copywriter, step number 1, researching the buyer, you can do research and compile that into an audience profile, and then also gather information from their competitors so that you can show ad campaigns from the competitors. And basically, you'll have an audience profile. I've done this for affluent markets. I've done this for homesteaders, and I've done this for salespeople. So I've got binders that I use for these particular markets when I do copy for clients in those markets. As a copywriter or a marketing consultant, you can do step number 2, which is test assumptions. You can help them set up topic testing campaigns. You can help them set up social media series or other types of pay-per-click that is just designed to see if topic A is more clickable than topic B. Now, you can combine some of these steps too, because as a copywriter, you could be writing lead generation pieces. And so you write this generic lead generation piece, and then you test these topics that are around that generic lead generation piece. And then you just start seeing which one generates the most leads. Okay. And then now you've helped them generate leads. You're writing lead generation copy for them. Maybe they already have a sales letter. Now you're going to do step number 4, and you're going to write a control test. See, you've helped them get some leads. Now you're going to write a control test to see which one if you can beat their control. And then finally, number 5, this is where you start getting into the business development consultant, the analyst type of work. I spend a lot of area back here on the performance measures because you do want to know, hey, historically, you've been able to produce X. With my campaigns, you've been able to produce Y. Y is greater than X, therefore you should continue to hire me, to continue to support you, and to continue to bring you new customers. Can you see how these 5 steps work? You can go in and help a client along any of these 5 steps. In fact, as a consultant, and this is the real takeaway for you, As the consultant, you can have a discovery call where you discuss which of the 5 areas is your business lacking and how can we help your business improve it. And the business is going to say, well, what 5 areas for getting new customers am I working with here? And you say, well, look, first off, who's your customer? They tell who the customer is. Then you say, well, how do you know this is true about your customers? Let's look at that. Let's look at the sales history. Let's look at audience matching. Let's look at same audience matching, different demographic or different geographic location. What mailing lists? And let's say they got all that straight. They passed the test. Well, let's look at your lead generation pieces. Do you make these common mistakes in lead generation? See, your discovery call could walk right down these 5 steps. That's why I hope you wrote them down in the beginning of the podcast, because you can literally use this as a scorecard and determine which area you're going to focus with this particular client. Now, what's exciting about these 5 steps is they work pretty much for any industry. And it really is the generic for all complex industries. Because really, if you've got an established client and they write, a big magazine, for example, they're going to have renewal campaigns and they're going to split their list into multiple cells. And then a certain number of those cells is going to be rank amateur copywriters or people that are new, they're testing. Well, you're going to have an idea of what you're working with there. And it's simply a 2-step. You write a letter, they're going to see how many subscriptions they get. So it could be prospect, present, close, where you send something and they send a request back for more information, and then you send them the more information and they make a decision to buy. Or it could be something simple in an established market where you're going to send a new offer and they're going to buy. But my point being is that let's not make it more complex than 5 steps. I hear a lot of companies talk about the branding, about the exposure, about the making you a credible expert, all this stuff. You can do that within these 5 steps. You don't need to make it convoluted. 5 steps. So what I've shared with you today is the 5 steps for getting more customers. I, as an analyst, will go in and make sure you're getting more profitable customers, because just getting any customer doesn't win over time. You really want to have a conversion that generates a return on investment. And then the performance measures actually do need to be accurate. So when you get down to performance measures, there are specialists you may want to bring on to help with the analytics tools, to help with the calculations, to make sure finance understands how some of these measures have to be tagged out in their systems. Also, when you start looking at list segmentation and you're comparing different mediums, how do you structure those tests so that you get an accurate result? So, for example, if you're comparing a pay-per-click campaign on Google this month versus a pay-per-click campaign on Google 2 months from now, there's different audiences running through there. And so there are attributes you need to use in order to discount or measure these campaigns. You can use a decision matrix. You can use other factors, but it's beyond the scope of a podcast today. So I want to get you started with these 5 steps. You can simply repeat these 5 steps. You can use these 5 steps to structure offerings and products for your customers. And you can make sure your customers are using these 5 steps. If they aren't using 5, 25 ain't going to do it. So if you want to go into more details in a training course, because I'm looking at my diagram here, I got my 5 core steps, and I've probably got 30 or 40 underlying steps. Yes, it can be more complex, but I'm trying to give you an overview in the presentation today. If you want more details about this, and we can even structure how your discovery call would be set up, how you would set up introducing these steps to your clients, how would you get into different markets where they're definitely hiring copywriters, contact my offices at www.adbriefings.co.uk and write me a letter, send me a fax. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. I'd be more than happy to discuss this in a webinar. And if it's an interesting topic, I can actually go through the underlying steps. Like if we could do a session on just researching your buyers. I think I talked about research a couple weeks ago, but we could go into that in detail. And another one is real powerful, is that testing of assumptions. I don't want to see you get stuck there. That testing of assumptions is really about ratcheting up your permission level. It's writing a feature article and then doing a lead generation, real quick pay-per-click lead, real quick, post on social media just to give away that feature article, measuring the clicks. Very low barrier to entry. Of course, online, a click can set up retargeting. I'm open to going into these in more details. Contact my office, www.adbriefings.co.uk. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefings Copywriting Tips, where we help copywriters, marketers, and business development professionals take their, I don't know if it's an agency or a firm, but take what you do to the next level so that you can have that financial security that comes with it, so you can have consistent flow of new customers, and so that you can really make a difference in the marketplace, leveling up your clients. Thanks for listening.